Phase 1. Ritual. Imagine you're spawning into a brand new Minecraft world, completely vanilla in every way that matters, except for one thing. There's a book sitting in your inventory called the Ritual Book and a long trek away from your spawn point. And then there's a rough stone circle with a single red pulsing block sitting in the middle of it. Welcome to Phase 1. You gather your iron and your gold and your food like it's a normal playthrough. Then you make the pilgrimage out to the ritual site, which is genuinely far. This isn't a round the corner job. You walk up to the central block, you right-click it like a curious idiot, and the ritual immediately fails. A few particles puff up, the screen briefly darkens, your character lifts slightly off the ground in a way that nothing in normal Minecraft does, and a creepy text-to-speech voice, the one the modder labeled Scary Faith TTS, kicks in over loud ambient noise to tell you exactly how badly you just messed up. The on-screen text reads, "You shouldn't have, in vain, it was all in vain. The ritual has been broken." Now, the book itself is genuinely lore-poisoned, opening with the Rite of Ascension, and now you realize you just summoned the entity it was warning you about. You're now instructed to obtain something called the Blood Sphere. The psychological interference starts almost immediately, and the mod basically informs you that the horror has begun with no takebacks. But just before Phase 1 ends, a disturbing version of the Jeopardy theme song starts playing in the background, and you're left wondering why someone or something is getting closer to you. On screen, you'll see the warning, "Run," and that's when you might get a glimpse of the evil entity that's hunting you. Phase 2. Something's wrong. The cows probably know something's wrong, because at some point during Phase 2, the passive and peaceful mobs around you, cows, sheep, chickens, whatever happen to be grazing nearby, stop being passive. They don't attack you, but they sure like to follow you around. These once peaceful mobs would suddenly act weird too and twist their heads unnaturally and have the ability to open doors by themselves. It's like you owe them money. Most players, having no objective and no instructions, just kill them. Which, sure, you do what you have to do. And then, right as Phase 2 is wrapping up, there's a loud distortion, and the entity appears directly in front of you for the first time. But then your screen flashes, the words "kill her" appear, the image of a meat grinder cuts in, followed by highly contrasted photos of pigs, and just like that, you're now in another phase and the real horrors are about to begin. Phase 3. Red Phase. The screen floods with a strong red tint and a sharpening filter. The message, "Something in your bag is rotted," flashes across the action bar. The background audio, every vanilla Minecraft sound you've heard for 15 years, just gets cut, leaving only intense modded sound effects and the occasional weird voice line, one of which literally announces, "I'm the Tickle Bear," at you with zero context. If that isn't creepy enough, the save and quit button is now disabled. You're also expected to craft the ritual sword during all of this, which is a tall ask when your tools are getting body snatched in real time. Glass panes in any shelter you've built just break, you get randomly teleported. It seems like the world is fighting itself, and that's when the lore finally drops like a hot potato. The text starts unloading lines like, "They hacked them and gave them to the pigs. Everything started with that heavy autumn rain. Suffer. You deserve this. They are watching you. It's all fake." And finally, "You deserve this." Then a full monologue explains that your character is in fact a criminal, someone who murked their pregnant wife and son, and the entire Minecraft world is purgatory, generated from your sins. Phase 4. Meat Phase. This phase starts with a loss in connection, which a lot of players would think isn't part of the game, but it is, and it's clear that the mod wants you to feel like it can reach beyond the screen and grab you by your collar. Now, if the red phase made you uncomfortable with how Minecraft looked, Phase 4 makes you uncomfortable with what Minecraft is made of. This is the meat phase, which is what the mod's own changelog calls it, and the name is fully earned. Chunks of the world around you start turning into flesh blocks, and the transformation is methodical and visible. Grass blocks revert to dirt. Trees collapse into bare planks, snow disappears off the landscape, and flesh blocks start spreading across the terrain like the mod ran out of textures and started reaching for whatever was available. Your items are still rotting in your inventory, but now they're specifically rotting into rotten meat and bones. This is the phase where the mod really shows you that it hates you for doing the crimes in the past, even though you just woke up here and can barely operate a meat grinder. Phase 5. Fake House. Without any warning, you're transported into someplace different, and then you wake up inside a house. Grayscale, completely washed out, with a bird chirping somewhere in the background, and that specific kind of stillness that doesn't quite feel like a place so much as the memory of a place. You can walk around, you can interact with the trees outside, but there's nothing really there, and the whole thing is sealed off by a massive grey wall on every side, just to make sure you understand this isn't a real environment you've stumbled into. Now, based on the scattered dialogue and messages the game keeps flashing at you throughout the experience, the working theory is that this is the house where you, the player, The protagonist, the supposed grieving father, murked your own wife and kids, which retroactively makes the kill her flash from Phase 2 read very differently, and the second you try to get through the walls and break out of the memory, you're yanked back into reality, where every block is flesh again. Phase 6, 10 times chaos. Phase 6 isn't a new mechanic, and it's every previous mechanic happening at the same time, on purpose, with no breaks. The visual corruption from the red phase is running. The inventory destruction from the meat phase is running. The aggressive animal mobs that started in Phase 2 and got worse through Phases 4 and 5 are still running. The audio distortion that gutted vanilla Minecraft soundscape is running. The disturbing on-screen text, the confessions, the purgatory lore, the lines that read like someone's writing journal, is still being broadcast in real time. The world itself starts approaching a kind of structural failure, where large areas have been converted to dirt and planks, the original terrain is barely visible anymore, and the corruption is so widespread that finding a clean patch of grass becomes a rare event. Phase 7, Final Phase. By the time you reach Phase 7, the ritual book, the one that sat innocently in your inventory at world spawn, has fully transformed into the evil book, and it just keeps writing. New text updates show up in it on a regular basis, like a possessed Twitter feed running in your hotbar. This is the final phase before the boss fight, and then the rain starts. Which, in any normal Minecraft world, is just weather. Here, it's the game telling you the build-up is over, and you've reached the final stretch before the confrontation. The hunter is at his most aggressive at this point, but it's just you holding the blood sphere, standing at the ritual block, and finishing what was started. Once you place the blood sphere on the altar, Phase 7 ends and the boss fight begins, which, fair warning, has its own 4 phases stacked inside it. Boss fight, Hunter hunted. You right-click the ritual block with the blood sphere in hand, the sky warps and something is about to happen. You're in the boss fight now, which has its own 4-phase structure, but this is the endgame. Quick note on failure, since it's relevant to all 4 phases. If you die at any point, or if too many shadows reach the altar, you get hit with nausea and blindness. Your true cross gets yanked out of your inventory. The screen flashes, ritual failed, and you're booted out of the fight. So, no pressure. Phase 1, Defend. The game hands you a true cross and immediately spawns shadow entities in a ring around the altar. They start walking toward the center. If 3 of them reach it, the ritual fails. A countdown timer ticks down on your action bar while this is happening. Your job is to right-click each shadow with the true cross before it gets to the altar. Just pick whichever shadow is closest, smite it with a lightning strike, repeat. Phase 2, Hunter. The defense timer expires, the hunter spawns. A boss bar appears labeled Hunter with 150 HP, and only your ritual sword can hurt him. I mean that literally. Any other weapon, diamond, netherite, doesn't matter, cancels the hit entirely. The ritual sword does 6.5 damage per swing on its own, but the second you put it in your main hand, it auto-applies Fire Aspect 4, so every hit also lights him on fire. The fire damage is where most of your actual DPS comes from. There's actually no way you can hide from the hunter, and so the intended strategy is to stay in the open, keep pinging him, and chip his health down to 75. Then Phase 3 kicks in. Phase 3, Dodge. At half health, the hunter becomes invisible. He stays in the arena and he's still attacking you, but like the predator, you just can't see him. Your action bar flashes Dodge with a countdown, and 3 different types of particle projectiles start coming at you from 3 directions. One fired directly from wherever the hunter is, one spiraling inward from the sides, and one rising up from the ground. Each projectile only does 1 to 2 damage, which sounds manageable until you realize they're constant and you're not fighting back. You're just trying to survive until the timer ends. The trick is to watch the particle trails and read where the next attack is coming from, but mostly you're just running. Phase 4, Shield. The hunter becomes visible again, but he also becomes invincible. 5 new shadow enemies spawn orbiting him in a ring, and he picks up a resistance effect that makes him immune to all damage until those shadows are dealt with. A lot of players see this and panic swing at the hunter anyway, which does nothing. You have to right-click each of the 5 shadows with the true cross. Same mechanic as Phase 1. Once all 5 are gone, the shield drops, you go back to attacking with the ritual sword, and you whittle the hunter's health down to 30. Throughout all of this, the game is throwing dialogue at you. Things like, "Do you remember what happened that night?" And "None of this is real," and "She begged you to stop." The ending. At 30 HP, an entity called the Saver appears. He removes the hunter and the boss bar clears. He takes the items out of your hand in a scripted animation, and golden lightning shoots out of the altar. The same golden beam the ritual book promised back in the very first poem, the one about piercing the sky. The true silver sword drops into your inventory. The ritual sword is consumed permanently. Then your action bar plays out a short message sequence that ends with, "It is done." And immediately after, "But you felt it all was fake." followed by a note saying the next branch of the mod will be available in a future update. So you win. You kill the hunter, you get the holy weapon, you complete the ritual, but it's not the end. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe. And if there's any video idea you want me to cover next, just drop it in the comments because I always check them. See you in the next video, and thanks for watching.